has broken down. Where cruelty and lawlessness rule, Lawbringers are justice. They go wherever they are needed, and they come prepared. Their armor has no equal. Its construction, a secret of their order. And they carry the most versatile weapon ever invented. The poleaxe. Pray that you do not need them. And when they arrive, pray that you have done no wrong.
I love Lawbringer. His trailer got me more hyped than any other hero, particularly this last line. But more than that, just look at this monster. He has the best armor in-game. He's the tallest knight in-game. His weapon, the poleaxe, is one of my favorites in-game. This guy is amazing. And when I think of a good personality for him, only one thing can possibly come to mind. I think of him sort of like a judge, jury, and executioner of the battlefield. He holds the law in high esteem and will not suffer heretics. He will punish the wicked, purge the evil, and when he confronts it, they better start running the other direction, and he'll still catch them, because this dude is a running tank. He is a freight train of destruction. That's how peace is maintained, after all, through destruction. That's why he's the Lawbringer.
There is no shelter for those who oppose the Imperium of Man.
This dude is a Dark Lord of Justice. He's a paladin of virtue, and I'm 98% sure that he is an early version of a Space Marine.
Die!
He is the Law Daddy. So let's talk about that armor of his. Lawbringer is probably the most well-armored warrior in all of For Honor. He's wearing full plate armor and chainmail underneath, and those pauldrons he has on are actually what we would call a swordbreaker pauldron. And that became very popular in the 16th century. In fact, this is fitting because this armor right here looks very classic of a Spanish 16th century knight armor. I think it was modeled after that. And I'm willing to bet money that that chest armor right there could probably stop a musket ball. It's actually funny. One of the many criticisms that people give knight armor is they think it's big, heavy, and clunky, so knights would be too. But in reality, the weight of armor, especially knight armor, is distributed throughout the body through harnesses. And so he wouldn't be that way down by it. So this dude can actually move pretty fast. And in doing so, like I said, he's a freight train. Speaking of which, look at the weapon we got here. I want to zoom in on this weapon. This is a poleaxe. Now, I wouldn't blame you if your first thought it was a halberd. I get that. I really, really do. I thought so too. But there are a few differences between this and a halberd, and we'll talk about that. For one thing, note how tall the poleaxe is next to the Lawbringer. The poleaxe is usually about the size of a man, while the halberd is meant to be much taller. The spike of a halberd is also a little taller than this. Usually it's almost 2 feet or higher above the axe. The spike at the back of the poleaxe is also indicative of a poleaxe. Not all halberds have that. And also, little known fact, poleaxes don't always have an axe head to it. Sometimes it'll just be a spike. Also, the trailer, they call it a versatile weapon. And in this case, the way the Lawbringer uses it, it is versatile. It is versatile. It can be used for a lot of different things. But in real history, the poleaxe was a specialized weapon. It was meant to keep people back. It was meant to maintain a long-range fighting style. But it works with him. It works very well for this guy because as his primary weapon, it looks like an executioner's axe. And who better to carry an executioner's axe than the dealer of justice himself, Law Daddy? Now, before we go on to his fighting style, I want to make you understand. This is his default armor skin. This is what he starts the game with. Play with him enough and get the right kind of armor, and you can make him into this monster. Hello! Oh, now if that doesn't scream Dark Lord of Justice, what else does? You got the cape going on, you got the longer axe head, you got the ornament on the head, and just look at those eyes. Hold on, zoom in on that helm. That's some scary stuff right there. That'll give you nightmares. I can hear the Space Marine roaring in my head. And for now, I know what you're all waiting for. How do I bring down the law with Law Daddy? Well, let's get into the fighting style. Alright guys, time to make a confession. I'm not great with Lawbringer. Yeah, I know, frightening as it is, but there's a reason for it. Lawbringer is not a mix-up master. He's what I like to call a Swiss Army knife. He's got an answer for everything, but you've got to understand each aspect of how he works to make it appreciative. What do I mean? Well, let's get started. So first of all, he can open up with a heavy or a light attack, but if he opens with a light, he must follow with a heavy. He can't chain his lights together. But if I notice that, so if I do this, I can actually go into a light, heavy, heavy, light, heavy, light. Any of those combos work. I just can't chain 2 lights together. He can chain 3 heavies, but any combo that ends with a heavy attack will always have this. You will do an unblockable attack known as the Ad Mortem Inimicus, which is now its own meme. This attack will do massive damage, but it's highly telegraphed and easily blockable, as I will demonstrate. See? Too easy to block. What a lot of people like to do is they like to feint out of that attack and go into a guard break or light attack. Or they'll just not do anything at all and hope that the opponent gets into the bait and strikes. Anything works. But these aren't what Law Daddy is known for. What Law Daddy is really known for are these moves, his shove attacks. One is if you pull back on the guard break button, you can flip your opponent over your shoulder. However, and this grants you a free light. However, it's highly telegraphed and easily dodged. See? Not a lot. There's also this move, which I like to call the shaft shove. This move can be done from a basic stance position like this, or after a successful or blocked attack. In the past, Lawbringer could actually do this after an attack hits him and he blocks it. But they took that away because it was obviously way too OP. From the shaft shove, you can get in a free light attack, but not a free heavy attack. The shaft shove is a great way to keep an opponent off balance, and it keeps your combos going so that you can keep going strong. Now, guard break doesn't do any damage like Conqueror, but it's a great way to keep your opponent moving around the map. And Lawbringers love to do their guard breaks because Lawbringers they like to drain your stamina. It's an easier way to get you on your butt so that they can do that ad mortem attack. Now, the Lawbringer's other main trick is his parry. When Lawbringer parries an attack, he has a plethora of options, and we'll go over a few here. For one, that is an unblockable zone attack you just saw. His normal zone attack isn't unblockable, but this time it is, which makes it an easy strike to keep all enemies at bay. He's great at crowd control. Another option is the stunning tap. This will stun your opponent for a brief period, and it will give you a lot of free openings. It just doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it is guaranteed. What I like to do, though, is after it, get in that guard break. Now, quite often your opponent will expect it, but sometimes with Lawbringer they expect the stunning tap, so they just brace for it, and instead they miss out on blocking your guard break. And once you're in the guard break, you get a free heavy. Not a lot of heroes have that, so I definitely take advantage of it. Now, the thing about Lawbringer that I want to end on is his versatility. I know there are going to be a lot of Lawbringer mains out there who will say that I missed a lot of stuff about him or I didn't go into his combos well enough. But here's the thing, guys. I don't play him enough to really be that great with him. That's the thing about Lawbringer. He requires consistency and practice. And because I play all characters in For Honor and I don't main him, that makes me weaker on the battlefield when I'm fighting. And I know I just went rabid with how much I love Lawbringer, but a lot of it's aesthetics. The look he has is probably the best in the game. He looks like a Dark Lord. But if I could offer any advice about Lawbringer, it's this. He is, like I said, a Swiss Army knife. He has a response for about everything, and if you know the options that you have at your disposal, then you can be prepared for almost any sort of opponent. And And that's just where I fail with Law Daddy. I'm not used to someone with that many options. I'm used to mix-up artists. I'm used to basic warriors. But those with too many options confuse me sometimes. Sometimes I like simplicity. And that's where the Lawbringer just lacks for me. Too many options makes him a little bit of a challenge. Does that mean he's bad? By no means. But it does mean that he's a different animal. So, I think that's all we have to say about the Lawbringer this time, folks. Let's move on to the executions. Okay, so now that we've talked about how he fights and how awesome he is as a character, it's time to do the most fun part of this video. Let's grade some executions. As always, you know what we're looking for, so let's see what the Law Daddy brings to the table. Stick 'em. One more time. One more time. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so great. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 right out the gate. Ah, that's awesome. Look at it, and look at him squirm. Look at the way the Lawbringer looks at him too. Just, that is so obscenely painful. And then this hit. And then Lawbringer, really, son? Get down with your bad self. Oh, it's so sweet. It's so arrogant. It's so Lawbringer. Oh, I hate it, but I love it. Yes. Great one to start out with. Chokehold.
Burn in holy fire!
Yes! Another great one, 10 out of 10. So badass. Every move in this is badass. The failed punch, the wrist snap, holding him in the choke, and then there, snapping the neck. And look, never makes eye contact with him, never even looks at him. You're not even worth my time, you heretic. You know what? You know what? Stay down. Just leave. Go. You're not worth it. You're not even worth throwing away. I'm just going to drop you. No. Yes. Law Daddy. See why I love this guy? The executions are on point, but let's keep going. Duralex Sedlex. Okay, so lots of stuff going on with this one. This is definitely a 10 out of 10. It is Duralex Sedlex, which translates to, if I remember right, yeah, the law is harsh, but it is the law. It's a Latin phrase, and it fits. And I also like what he says here. It's hard to hear, but I'll translate. He's basically saying, tu bene te ipse defendisti, which means you defended yourself well. It's a compliment. He's basically saying, hey, man, you know, you did all right. You did okay. I hate it, but the law is the law, and I got to put you down now. By the way, fun history fact. You know why when you execute, you chop off the back of the neck first instead of the front? Because the spine goes through the back of the neck, and once that's severed, all pain is lost. So it's a quicker and more humane way to kill than to cut from the front. Just thought I'd share that with you. Cyclonic Justice. Oh, that's so smooth, so fast. Okay, so how do I call it? I'm gonna give this a, you know what? 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10. This is the right way to go. Solid finishing execution in 3 steps. Each move is precise and to the point. The move looks realistic. It's just badass. Nothing else to say. Another amazing execution for the Law Daddy. Knock knock. Ooh. No. This is a 3 out of 10 for me. This is the worst one of the Lawbringers, I think. So, interesting translation note here. The Lawbringer says one of 2 lines here. He either says, non ufegere potes, which means you cannot escape, or non resendes es, which means you're not escaping. He then hits him on the head with the side of his axe, and that, I guess that kills him. I don't know how. You know what would make this better? Let's say that he, said the line and then hits him on the head. As he's trying to get away, he then spears him from behind. Wouldn't that be a bit better? But no, just the knock. I don't get it. Off with their head. Yes. You know, when I did the Conquer video, I complained that all Conquer did was just the wind-up kill. And in this case, some people are probably going to say, yo, all the Lawbringer does is knock them on the ground and decapitate them. Aren't you going to say that's bad? Well, yeah, it's bad, but here's the difference. When the Conquer did it, it was always the same with very little mix-ups. Here, there's plenty of mix-up. Like, for example, with the Poleaxe Sedlex, it was clearly, there was a mood to it. It was, you know, I regret doing this. With this one, it stopped bothering me. Just stay down, heretic. You'll note I say heretic a lot with Lawbringer because that's the only word Lawbringer knows. It's kind of a thing for him. Heresy? Heresy! Yeah. You get used to it. Oh, I never gave this one a grade, did I? 10 out of 10. The Stomp. Oh, one more time. You know what? I'm going to be honest. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for me. It's basic, but what makes this a top-tier execution is that it fits Lawbringer 100%. The placing on the foot on his back shows his dominance. The spike through the back shows disdain. The fury of a judge and jury has found you guilty. It's all there. It's absolute dominance over an unworthy heretic. The Impaler. 9 out of 10. You know what I like about this one? It's not only quick, it fits the executioner style. It's an homage to Vlad the Impaler, and it's so awesome. And you know what else is great about this? Think about the strength it takes to lift this dude up, and then look at the way he glances up at him. What kind of conversation do you think is being had between these two here?
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
Food for thought. Long shot. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'll be fair and I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I like it, but it's a little too memey. I mean, look at it. Still solid. The swing at the end is really strong, and I love the distance he goes, but there's not a lot to say about it. I mean, it's basic, but it's decent enough. Hands-on approach. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. If there was ever an execution that needed cool, badass lines, it's this one. Just picture a few of these with me.
Long live the king.
Regardless, this is a beautiful execution that, again, fits Lawbringer. The more I look at it, the more I feel like it's meant to be one of his original ones, not just a later DLC one for a season. The final blow. You know, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. This is a feat execution, like we've been talking about those, and I can get behind it. You know what it reminds me of? That scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where they stick a grenade in the dude's gut, and then he shoves him back, and it blows up. Remember that scene? Yeah, I think I do remember it.
No fair.
But this one's pretty amusing, though, and I definitely find it deadly, so it's good. The horse... Oh, no. I don't hate this one. I actually think it's hysterically funny. The only reason I don't give it more points than a 5 out of 10... Yeah, it's a 5 out of 10. The only reason I don't give it more than that is because it's based on a meme. It's based on one of his emotes. One of the Lawbringer's emotes is... Pony Rider, which it makes him get on his poleaxe like that and ride it like it's a horse. And people love spamming that emote to sort of be toxic to other players. So the dev said, hey, why don't we make that an execution? And that's where this comes from. It's hilarious, but it's just a setup for that hit, and the hit isn't that impressive. Plus, there's a glitch if you pay close attention. Watch it again and notice what the head does after he hits it. He hits it, and notice how it rolls off and then just kind of levitates. It rolls like it's going to fall off, but then suddenly flies into the air and falls back down. I don't know where the flight came from. Oh. Backbreaker. Okay, this was one of his original ones, and I love it. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I love everything from the pacing of it to letting him try to crawl away. It's wonderful. And I love how he looks at his own axe like, die. Excellent. Sweep the leg. Ah, yes. 9 out of 10 again. 9 out of 10. This one is basic, but it is very simple. And it feels like what a real warrior would do in a real battle situation. The leg sweep feels right. It actually feels like that's how he would fall. It just looks great. It looks like what I would expect to see. The impalement is well placed too. Right in the gut, up into the chest. Perfect. Definitely 9 out of 10. Oh, come on. Aww. I do not like this one. I do not like this one. It is a 1 out of 10 for me. And here's the thing. I know it's meant to be funny. It's a joke. It's, oh look, he died before you could do anything fun. Oh, it's funny, right? Well, not really. I mean, kinda, sorta. No, not really. I don't find it that funny. It's just kind of like, okay, well, I missed out on doing something really cool. I feel like the Lawbringer. Oh, come on, really? Really? What? Really? Dang it! This is all you gave me? Okay, yes. Yes! That's it. That's my impression of Sostra Veritaste. Veritate. It's a 4 out of 10 for me. This one doesn't do it. The kick is good. The strike is good. The drag, oh, what's he up to? What's he gonna do? What's this bad boy? You fail! Awful. 4 out of 10. And that is it for the Lawbringer. I hate to end on such a sour note, guys. Really do, because I love the Lawbringer. I love everything about him. But what are some final things I can say about him? What are some last things I can say about the Law Daddy? It's like I said, I'm not great with him, which is unfortunate because I love his aesthetic more than any other knight. Except maybe Black Prior, but we'll get to that. So take my advice with a grain of salt on him. Lawbringer is a tank and should be treated like one. Use your shaft shoves and guard breaks to keep your opponent off balance, and don't use your final unblockable heavy unless you know you'll get an opening. Don't be afraid to wait out an opponent's attack and get in a well-timed parry. Unlike Peacekeeper, with Lawbringer, it's totally fine to apply pressure. You'll find that in one-on-one combat, simply walking towards your opponent will force them to they'll retreat a few steps. Your presence is intimidating, and use that. Lawbringer is justice made real and will not yield to evil. He's judge, he's jury, he's literally an executioner. He is, quite frankly, a space marine carrying a medieval poleaxe, and he's good at it. The man is a beast, and he's fun to play with various options to make him a great contender in battle. But you know what? Don't waste too much of a good thing. I think that's all we can say about Lawbringer, folks. Now that we've finished with the OG Knights, though, it's time to step into the DLC territory. You see, For Honor, in their infinite wisdom, decided to add 3 more Knight heroes to the Knight faction. So before we move on to the other factions, we gotta take a look at those DLC heroes. Tune in next time when we introduce the Fist of the Roman Empire, the Centurion. See you there, guys.
I scum! No prisoners for the Emperor!